I think I was destined to be in purchasing. I had hoped to end up with a major corporation when I finished school and so forth. Didn't necessarily know I would end up in retail, but as I got to understand and appreciate all of the level of excitement and the passion that surrounds a career in retailing, I got more excited about it. And when I had the opportunity to work within the procurement organization, I started as a supply department manager in the sub-basement of a department store that doesn't even exist anymore. Moved from there to Midtown Manhattan, and then ultimately to Cincinnati, where Macy's Inc. is headquartered today. Purchasing was always exciting to me because I had an old boss that told me that your job is to take a requirement defined for you by some internal department and translate that into a language that somebody outside of the company can understand, and then deliver a product or service that matches those requirements. So it's always been an exciting area for me. I think a change moment for me was when I had the opportunity to get involved with our supplier diversity program. I had done a lot of things in purchasing, reverse auctions, and I ran our travel operation for a number of years as well. But the excitement and enthusiasm that getting involved with suppliers that, you know, I kind of use the analogy of a baseball park. I think of minority and women-owned suppliers as individuals going to a baseball game. They start by maybe being outside and ultimately become participants, you know, sitting in the park to enjoy the game. My job has been, and hopefully we made some impact, has been to try to help develop players to get on that team. So it's more than just sitting in the stands and watching the game. How can we help develop participants who can actually play the game and actually have what we call a chance at bat? It's at that point when it's up to that minority or women-owned supplier to really perform and step up and win the business. But I think it's the job of supply diversity individuals, whether they be in purchasing or in human resources or wherever, to help develop those opportunities to kind of open the doors for you know, individuals, entrepreneurs to have that first chance at maybe not winning the first order that they bid on, but at least they're in the mix and they're being considered. And they learn from that experience so that the next time that they have an opportunity to bid, and hopefully there are many of those opportunities, they will do a little better job, have a little bit more success, and guess what? That continues to build and hopefully ends up, you know, results in having a solid business that, guess what, also helps grow the economy for for the country. We want people to shop in our stores. Well, one good way to do that is to help create jobs and companies that support individuals, to give them that capital and that the capability to come into our stores and shop. It's kind of almost a full circle kind of a situation that benefits not only Macy's, and we're not the only company that's doing this. You know, it's become more of a business imperative for us than it was years ago. At one time, was just considered kind of a nice thing to do, the socially appropriate thing to do. No, it's about business. It really is about helping to help our customers and the communities where we have stores to grow and prosper, so that they in turn have the wherewithal to be loyal customers to Macy's going forward. So, yeah. In the time that I've been involved, not only just in purchasing, but especially with our supply diversity program, I've seen minority and women-owned companies really prosper and become more professional than ever before. They're more focused. Now, some of that credit belongs to corporations and the great advocacy groups like WeBank and the ORV for the work that they do working with small companies to help them to become more professional. But it really is, the ownership is on that supplier to really do their homework, understand exactly what the corporation or company that they want to do business with is really about. We often say to young companies or new companies that approach us, what is your core competency? We don't want to talk to suppliers that come in, or potential suppliers that come in and say they can do this, they can do that. They can focus in on your core competency, be really good at one or two things, and then understand where there might be a solution to a problem that you have researched and identified within the corporation customer that you're, or prospect as you might call it, and try to come with an answer to that problem or issue. And that helps a great deal to get the attention of the buyers and business function owners within a corporation. You have to remember that the supplier diversity teams most of the time really are kind of just a conduit. We're out there and we're meeting with suppliers and trying to we're matchmakers. We're really trying to identify suppliers that have some potential to fit a need, and then pairing them up with the individual decision makers within the corporation. And that sometimes is not an easy thing to do. But that's why we exist, and I think to the extent that we as a corporation do our homework to vet the potential suppliers, and those potential suppliers zero in on their core competency and zero in on the needs of specific customers, more of those matchmaker type activities can grow into contracts, which is where ultimately the suppliers obviously want to be. So it's an exciting area of the company to be involved in. I have a great deal of passion for supplier diversity. Purchasing has always been my love. This is just kind of the icing on the cake when it comes to having spent 45 years in an operations and procurement career. So.
Could you
But I've always found purchasing to be great, because you get to, no matter what the company's doing, somehow it always involves buying something, and purchasing gets pulled into it. So if it's a new ad campaign, guess what? We might be buying the catalog paper. If it's a new look for the packaging, guess what? We're going to be doing the shopping bags and stuff like that. So it's a fun area. So yeah, it's been fun. Icing on the cake. It really was, because I got involved, helped set up an energy committee for the company. I was the first one to develop our reverse auction process, which is a kind of an online way to do bids. Up until 15 years ago or so, bids were done, by hand or email and so forth. Then we went to an online process where the vendors could actually bid interactively, and we could watch the pricing from each of the vendors. It opened up opportunities for MWBEs especially, because now we weren't, when you had to follow the manual process, buyers typically were kind of limited to, well, get 3, 4 bids because the auditors want us to get. If you go to an interactive process, you can, once you have good solid specs for whatever it is you're buying, you can invite, 15, 20 suppliers to that bid. So that was a big, that was a game changer for purchasing per se, and it wasn't unique to Macy's. Procter & Gamble was doing it, Kroger and so forth. And I also ran some of our travel operations for a while, and we automated some of that with electronic reporting of our travel and so forth. But then the opportunity came to move supplier diversity into the purchasing arena, because up until that time it was kind of just a socially correct thing, thing to do that everybody thought was the nice thing to do, et cetera. But now the company, and Terry Lundgren's been very clear on this, understands and appreciates that it's really a business imperative. We see our customer base becoming more diverse. No question, who knows, 70% of our customers are women. Why are we not, trying to, create an atmosphere that is conducive to growing business with women and minority businesses? So as I think about some of the exciting things that have happened along the way, and think perhaps, I guess, as I'm, tipping my hat and walking out the door, that I think it's critical for corporations to consider and to be open to looking at opportunities for minority, women-owned companies in what might be the non-traditional areas. We've done a fair amount of business with a woman-owned company that supports our initiative to retrofit our stores with energy-efficient lighting. Like many corporations, energy bills are a major component of our expense line, and we started several years ago an initiative to retrofit many of our stores with LED energy-efficient lighting, and we researched and referred to our WeBank database and came up with a supplier, a woman-owned company, to handle a major portion of that of the installations that we did in LED lighting. It's proved successful, and not only for Macy's but as well for the supplier. So I would challenge corporate supplier diversity, purchasing individuals to continue to look in areas that you typically may think are not open, or not areas where minority and women-owned businesses would typically function, and look for the low-hanging fruit. In many cases has disappeared. So it's up to us as corporate representatives to now dig a little deeper and research a little further, utilize the excellent resources provided by the advocacy groups like WeBank and ORV to identify potential suppliers. And I think you'll find that you'll bring more creativity to the mix. You'll identify resources that you had no idea were out there by just doing a little extra work along the way. So. Many times minority and women-owned companies, looking just at the surface, for example, with Macy's, you might believe that Macy's strictly sells dresses and handbags, et cetera, and may not realize that we have a full store planning and construction group, huge IT organization. We do our own marketing and visual, and we also spend a great deal of time cleaning and maintaining our stores. So there's a whole other world out there aside from what you see when you walk into the store and you see clothing and apparel hanging on the racks in the stores. There's a whole lot of activity that goes on behind the scenes, and I think it's incumbent upon suppliers, potential suppliers, to do their homework to understand what goes on behind the scenes, so that they can come prepared to address and also answer some problems and situations that may exist. Make things easier for the corporation. Find a better way to do something that may on the surface seem very simple. So. I would encourage WBEs to do their homework, be persistent, and keep the faith. Because sometimes it takes a while, but as long as you keep making progress, the rewards are down the path. It's just a matter of staying the course, understanding your customer or potential customer's needs, and figuring out a way to address those needs. That's the key, I think, is really the secret to your success.
I wanted to share with you a few attributes and words of wisdom that have stuck by me, and I believe would be helpful to anyone who is in business or proceeding or pursuing any type of political career or whatever. But I've always tried to lead with a scope of vision and to manage with the force of fact. Operate at the speed of thought, meaning that especially in these times when everything is so instantaneous, when a thought occurs in your mind, pursue it. It may not pan out, it may not be the right thought for that moment, but it's worth consideration and worth evaluation. Communicate clearly and often. Very, very important. If you want to build a strong team and you want people to respect your opinions and so forth, you need to make sure that you're clearly disseminating your thoughts to the individuals that are close to you. Always, always consider the opinions of others. Maintain your integrity and treat everyone with respect. And lastly, I think it's important to consider yourself and respect yourself and believe in yourself. Because someone said along the way at some seminar or whatever that whether you believe you can or you can't, either way you will be correct. So it's very, very important that you have that belief in yourself